So, hello everybody. I'm very excited to have you guys come to a new seminar called The Successful Man, which is going to be, God willing, a seminar that takes place every 2 weeks on Thursday night here in Tarzana, in the jungles of Tarzana. And the goal of this class is to really help you learn about what it takes to be a truly successful man. This is a class for men only. And obviously the guidance for men is very different for women. So any curious women out there, please don't continue to tune in, but feel free to pass it on to friends of yours who are men. And it's really a class about how to take every aspect of your life to a higher level using the guidance of the Torah and from the perspective of obviously a perspective of walking in the paths of God to achieve that. And that be your career, your relationships, your married life, your ability to raise children in a much more effective way so that they become amazing children, and also in all other aspects of your life. So the goal is for you to come out of these classes really being able to not only learn these concepts, but to take them into your everyday life. And I really believe, as someone who has learned these steps, that you can achieve a lot of miraculous growth in a short period of time if you decide to really internalize the teachings and really take it to heart. Now, this seminar is based on the teachings of my rabbi and teacher, Rabbi Shalom Arush, who has written a lot of unbelievable life-changing books. Among them, The Garden of Emunah, The Garden of Peace, The Garden of Gratitude. These are books that literally transform the lives of millions of people around the world. Peoples of all backgrounds, all religions. These are really universal teachings that apply to anyone. You can be at any level, any spectrum of the religious level, religious, unreligious, agnostic, it doesn't matter. We've really literally seen it all kinds of people embracing it, because this is really simple truth that we're going to talk about. Simple wisdom that is being brought to us by Rabbi Shalom Arush, that is being bringing down from other sages. And it's not going to be pie in the sky kind of stuff, very intellectual stuff that is abstract and hard to internalize. This is really simple stuff that if you decide to break your nature and to want to really make a change in your life, very soon you can see some big changes. In the last 2 years that I've started looking into the books of Rabbi Shalom Arush, and it's only 2 years, I can tell you that my life has changed 180 degrees, or 360 degrees, whatever, or 720, whatever. And it's transformed every area of my life. My family relationship with my wife, my children, my closeness to God, my desire to grow to grow spiritually, and most importantly, my level of happiness has grown dramatically. And this is why I thought it was really important to share these teachings. And we did that first by bringing Rabbi Shalom Arush here himself a few times. But it's very important that we don't just learn these teachings once a year. It's something that has to be a living part of us. And what Rabbi Shalom Arush teaches is emunah. And emunah comes from the word of litamen. It means to practice. In order for anything to really to bear fruit in this world, you have to practice it. So when you're dealing with things of trying to improve yourself, to become more spiritual, to also correct aspects of yourself, it's something that you got to work on a daily basis. If it's not something that is continuous, it's not going to really go very far. So this is why I wanted to have this seminar be something that is more continuous than once a year. So God willing, we'll do this every 2 weeks. And hopefully in the time in between, I really urge the people here in the class and those that are viewing it in other places to purchase the books that we're going to be referring to all the time. And those being the Garden of Emunah and the Garden of Peace, and then other books. Because those books really will enable you to take the concepts you hear here and then to go reread it again and then to go meditate on it and to really then apply it to your life. And then hopefully also share it with others. So before I begin the class, I wanted to again say that this is a class for men only. And as a result of that, please, any women out there, don't really watch this class. It's really guidance just for men. So there's a story about a lion that was getting married. And he invited all the different animals of the kingdom to come to his wedding. The giraffes came, the zebras, everybody came along. His little buddy, the mouse, shows up, and he has a nice big envelope with a check inside. He hands it to the lion. He says, "Congratulations, I'm so happy for you." And the lion opens up the envelope, and he looks inside, and he says, "My buddy, the lion, congratulations from your brother." So the lion looks at the mouse and says, "Wait a minute. I really like you, but you're a mouse, I'm a lion. I'm not your brother, okay? Let's get that clear." And the mouse goes to him, he turns to him, and he says, "I also used to be a lion before I got married." So, the point of this little silly joke is that the idea is that this seminar is going to turn us into lions. Take the mouse in you and turn it into a lion. So I wanted to ask you, how many people here want success? Okay, I mean it's a rhetorical question. Now, can anyone define success for me? Can anyone here define their idea of success? Just throw whatever concept comes to your mind. Go ahead.
Achieve what you want and your goals, to get to your goals, to your dreams.
So achieve what you want and achieve your goals and realize your dreams. That's good. Okay, that's a good definition of success. Any other definitions of success?
Progress in measured time.
Progress in measured time. Okay, that's good. I like that. Realistic expectations. Okay. Huh? Okay, so doing kind deeds, helping others, that's also an aspect of success. So it's not only about yourself, it's about others too and what you do for others. Great. Now, the conventional definition of success in modern society is one of a man. When we talk about a man who's successful, it conjures up an image of a man who's making big bucks. A man who's got a huge job, or he's the head honcho of a major company. He's got lots of employees, and he's the master of the whole place. Or it's a man who has a beautiful wife, who abides to his every wish, and he has children who fear him and honor him. Maybe it's a man, if he's not married, it's a man who goes on a lot of dates with different pretty women. It's a man who has everything. Any kind of material toy out there, he's got it. Whether it be the biggest mansion in the block, the new Tesla, fancy job, lots of cool friends. Maybe it's someone who has a lot of friends on social media, who has a lot of big impact on people. When he writes a post, billions of people put likes on there and comment. So, obviously, this is just one type of success. Now, when you go deeper and you look at a lot of those types of people who meet that criteria, and I'm not saying all, I'm saying some, you see that this type of success is really lying on the surface. When you go deeper, you find that a lot of those people who have everything are not really happy. They desire much more money than they have. They want a bigger job. They want a higher position in the company. They want a bigger house. Their home is not a place of marital harmony. where the husband and wife, instead of having love between them, they're having World War III on a daily basis. The kids and the father and the mother have broken communication. And even though the man may have a lot of friends, inside he's lonely. And he feels like God has dealt him a really bad hand in the game of life. Doesn't feel like it's fair. Even though he's got everything, feels like it's empty. So that's obviously not the kind of success we want. I don't want to depress you or anything. Real success, as I'm sure all of you know, goes much deeper. The successful man that we're going to talk about is someone who is always walking with God. It's someone who knows that God is between his every move. It's someone who knows that everything that he has achieved is actually a free gift from God. It's not something that he achieved on his own by the sweat of his hands. And he has complete faith that God does everything for the good in his life. The income he has, he's very happy with. He's happy with his lot in life. He doesn't need more. He has also true love in his home. He has marital harmony. He loves his wife. He respects her. He doesn't criticize her. And he doesn't have eyes for any other women but his wife. He loves and he adores and is adored by his children. He's actually a living example. He doesn't preach what he doesn't practice. And his children obviously grow up to be amazing people. He also treats everyone around him, all mankind that comes on his path, fairly and with generosity and kindness. And like a friend said here, he does good deeds around him. And it's a person that is constantly trying to grow. He makes a daily accounting of all his actions, how he did good, how he erred, what he needs to change. He's always in self-correction mode, always striving to improve. Now there's a lot more definitions of success. These are just a few, and certainly these are some that we're going to talk about. Does it sound like a very tall order to be such a person as the one I described? It might seem like that at first, but it's not. The second you decide to throw your intellect to the side, all your predispositions about what you've come with to this class, you'll see that if you follow some of the steps that Rabbi Shalom Arush describes in his books, all these things are achievable in a relatively short frame of time. And the effects are permanent, much more permanent than rubber band solutions that you see being advertised by people, by seminars for different things like how to find happiness, and it's not real. The types of steps that we're going to describe here and we're going to go through really have lasting, permanent impact on you. And it's not really hard to do. I explained to you that I'm no different from anybody here, and I speak here from my own experience. And I can tell you that in a short few months, if you guys take it to heart and do it, you're going to see amazing things. But again, just like in a business, you can't take $5 and turn it to $1 million. You can't put a level of effort of $5 to get $1 million of spiritual or emotional or rewards. You have to put work in. But that work is so worth it, because I just described to you things that if you go and say to someone, how much money are you willing to pay for happiness? You go to the wealthiest guy out there, you go to Warren Buffett, he'll say, I'll give you $2 billion right now to make me happy and believe, whatever, So you can acquire this with just by literally, as I said, casting away your intellect. Don't listen to that evil inclination. That's the voice in the back of your head that's always trying to throw doubt. into things that are really good for you. That's what the evil inclination is about. It's about trying to keep you down. It's about trying to keep you from going to a better level than you're in. It's about trying to always put yourself into a state of doubt, or in a state of like that things can't really get improved that much. And this is really the opposite of what Rabbi Arush teaches, and the teachings of Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, which have influenced the teachings of Rabbi Arush. So, how can we reach this level of success? What is it that you need to get to success? Now, in this seminar, we're going to go through many different things, but for the first class, I spent some time thinking, what was it that was the most profound change in me that propelled me forward in my life since learning about the teachings of Rabbi Shalom Arush. And so I'm going to tell you about it, because I think that what I'm going to discuss is going to lead you not only to have happiness right away, a spiritual awakening where you're really much closer to God, and it's going to lead you to having a level of self-actualization in life. And that's by understanding that man's mission in this world, and I'm talking about a male, man's mission in this world is to find their mate and to create a marriage that is a happy marriage. In Hebrew they call that Shalom Bayit, peace in the home, meaning a peaceful home. Not just a peaceful home, but a home that's obviously full of love. Man's greatest tests of faith in life are in their marriage and in their livelihood. So what we're going to discuss is the most important mission of man in this world. And why is it that God put us in this world? He put us in this world to create a home that is full of harmony. And He wants us to literally invest every single day of our lives to the idea of, whether it is you're married or not, to praying to find your soulmate. Or if you already have found your soulmate, how to make your soulmate happy and how to increase that happiness. And that's done by doing things like us learning about it, reading about it, and then obviously thinking about how can I improve it. And it's done by praying. Everything that we're going to talk about here requires prayer. If you don't believe that God wills basically anything in your life to happen, then you're not going to really go anywhere in life. You might have occasional bouts of happiness here and there, where you think you were lucky, or you're really smart, so you got that business deal, or you got lucky with something, but it's always God behind everything. And because God is behind everything in your life, you should really pray for every single thing, little and big. Even crossing the street, oh God, I want to make sure today I go through safely throughout the day, that nothing happens to me. Or God, I hope that this business deal works out, or that I can have this new career, or that I don't sin today, or that today, with respect to marriage, God, help me develop the tools to really make my wife happy. And why is that? Why is marriage so important? Is it really just about making your wife happy? Of course not. Because the process of building a happy home is actually leading to your own self-correction. It requires you to basically change everything about yourself. We come into this world imperfect human beings. We have all kinds of things that we have to fix. Some of us have anger issues, jealousy, lack of patience. We're prone to depression or sadness. And it's through having to basically make another human being happy, and that is your wife, that we actually are forced to improve ourselves. It's very easy to think that we're perfect when we're alone. But when you have your own wife around you, as you see, it impels you to improve yourself. Only in a marriage do you learn about generosity, kindness, suppressing anger, having patience, having a good eye, seeing the good things in people as opposed to trying to see the bad things in people. These are the only way to make it through a marriage. And in fact, it's the only way to go through life. So this is why we're going to spend this class, the next few classes, on the book that literally changed my own life. It's called The Garden of Peace. I only have it in Hebrew here, but it's been translated in all languages. So, marriage is an institution that I said is really the objective of life that God created for us. We talk about when you want to come close to God, you have to nullify yourself. You have to learn how to suppress your ego, how to discard it, how to have to have humility. And that's done in a marriage, because in a marriage, you have to suppress your own needs, your own interests for the greater good. So if you're able to make your own wife happy, to build a home of happiness, then you for sure understand what it is about to serve God. So it's written in numerous sources in the Torah by sages that a happy marriage is the source of all blessings. And when I say that, it's all blessings. Through a happy marriage, you have a livelihood, you have not only financial success, health. You grow spiritually far more than in any other way. There's actually a story about someone who thought he was very righteous, decided that, you know what, I want to serve God. I'm going to put myself in a room. I'm going to learn all day. I'm going to pray to God all day. I'm not going to get married. I don't want to be distracted. I don't want to be distracted by responsibilities. That's only going to take me away from the investment that I could be otherwise making in my time to come close to God. So this person spent their life growing and, refining his character according to him and learning the entire Torah. Comes to the end of his life, passes away. Everybody thinks that this is one of the greatest righteous people of the generation. He's going to probably get a spot right under the throne of God, and that they're going to roll the red carpet in heaven for him because he was the most righteous human being. He gave away his entire life for God. What happens? His soul goes up. Instead of being escorted to the highest places of heaven, some angels drag him. They put him in a corner room, and everybody has a stern face, and they look about him. They look at all his actions of his life. They said, "Okay, I see you prayed a lot. You did a lot of learning. Okay, but you missed the point of life. You didn't get married. You never learned what it's like to sacrifice your own needs for others. You never understood what it is to nullify your own interests for those of others. You never learned what it's like to have patience when your wife is screaming at you and yet you try to maintain composure. You never learned what it's like to understand that you probably have great anger issues. And if your wife said something and criticized you, you probably scream at her. So, of course, this is not the way. God did not put us in this world to be a bunch of isolated individuals praying in a corner. He put us in this world literally for the goal of finding our mate and refining our own characteristics, because every soul that comes into this world has to rectify different things. That's why we're here. And it's by being married to that person that it happens. So There's a story about this guy that I spoke to, and he told me that he gave his wife an unbelievable lifestyle. He gave her a mansion. She never has to work. She has a housekeeper around the clock. He buys her gifts. He takes her to the best restaurants. He spends time with her. I mean, you'd think that this guy, has a great, happy life. But he complained. He said his wife is always angry with him. She's always upset with him. She spends sometimes days not talking to him. And he doesn't understand what it is. He feels like he basically made a big mistake. He married the wrong person. So after hearing that, I thought to myself, having read the Garden of Peace, that the reason why he doesn't have marital peace is not because he made a mistake. It's not because there was anything wrong with his wife. It's because he did what a lot of men do, which is one of the big mistakes, which is to criticize his wife. Now, this is the very first level of establishing a happy marriage, is this very concept. This is a very important concept that if you really follow it, you're 60% on your way to being successful in your life. Because as I said, happiness is rooted from a happy marriage. So, why is it that criticizing your wife is such a big deal? Because even if you gently criticize your wife, or you engage in what is called constructive criticism, you're destroying literally the soul of that person. And this is why, in establishing a happy home, a peaceful home, under no circumstances, even once, can you criticize your wife. And why is that? It's because the root of a woman's soul is respect. To a woman, respect is like oxygen. When a man criticizes his wife, even if he says, "Oh, I didn't like this dish," or "I think you're too aggressive with me. Why are you so angry? Why can't you be more religious like me? Or why can't you be more generous? Why don't you smile?" When a woman hears that, she basically feels like her husband doesn't love her at all. She feels like she's worthless, because her entire self-worth, her entire self-esteem and confidence in herself stems from the respect that her husband gives to her. A wife is like a moon. A husband is the sun. If the sun doesn't shine on the moon, then what happens? The moon is very dim. It's dark. The same way, if a man doesn't shower his wife with just love, unconditional love, and instead throws arrows with poison, which are criticism, she withers. She'd rather die than be in that relationship. And this is why a lot of the relations that people have when they get married, it's not like some major problems that are causing a lack of happiness in the home. It's because the man did not learn those fundamental ABCs of creating a happy home. Because they think, hey, how is my wife going to change if I don't have the opportunity to give her feedback about herself? How is it, we'll get to you laughing in a second, how is it that she's going to improve herself if I don't say anything? Well, in life, there are spiritual golden rules. And one of them is that God created women in this manner. And He created them in this manner that respect is so important to them that if you want to really be a successful man in this world with happiness and all these other things that are blessings from a happy marriage, you have to suppress your ego and your desire to say what is wrong with your wife. And you have to basically go at it in a totally different way. For example, would you criticize your father, your boss, or your spiritual mentor? You wouldn't. All the more so your wife, who you're supposed to give a lot more respect. Now, the same guy that told me that he didn't understand why is it that he didn't have happiness in his life, why is it his wife was always upset with him, the second he stopped criticizing his wife after I told him about this, literally, we're talking about not even months, we're talking about like 2 weeks, his wife changed completely. Instead of being his enemy, she started being his fan. She started being helpful. She started to smiling at him. Just from that alone. Now, you can imagine what happens in a home where your wife is an opposing force. All your achievements, everything you do, your work, you have no taste for it. Because your home front is a sad place. So you could make tons of money, you could have lots of friends, but when you see that your half soulmate is unhappy, you have this sickness inside of you yourself. And certainly you can't get close to God at all when you have an unhappy home. You can show me your home and I can tell you how close you are to God. Because the people who are truly close to God are people who have a happy home. Because they know what it's like to subjugate their ego and to suppress their own their own thoughts for the greater good. They know also to look at the good in the other person. These are all things that you must have if you want to come close to God. So why is it that God created the world in such a way? After all, everything in this world is created for a specific reason. There is intellect in everything that you see. There's divine providence behind everything. Everything in this world has been created in such a way so that man will improve himself by going through this world. So there's a reason why God wanted to make women extremely, extremely sensitive to criticism. Why didn't he just make them people who are very tolerant of criticism, who don't care about respect? Why is it they can't be like men? There's a reason for that. And the answer to that is twofold. And it's really brilliant. It's so brilliant that it's really simple. The reason for that is because it comes down from Rabbi Arush, who learned it from his rabbi, who brought it down from the famous Kabbalist, the Arizal. And the Arizal says that basically, not in those exact words, that basically your wife is like a mirror. And whatever deficiency you see in her is really a deficiency in yourself. Whatever weakness, whatever shortcoming you see in your wife is really something that is in you. And the Baal Shem Tov said the same thing. He said that whenever you come upon a person and you look at him, you size him up, and you're like, this guy, he's got this issue. It's because somewhere inside of you, you have that issue. And that person is just a mirror for you. But nothing like your wife. So for instance, if your wife is extremely angry, that means you have anger issues inside of you that you've yet to resolve. If you see that your wife is not respecting you, it's because you are not respecting her. Your wife is an exact reflection of where you're holding in your life. So if you don't have marital peace, if you don't have happiness in your marriage, that means that you're not holding at that level at all. You have a lot of work to do. The level of faith or emunah, which Rabbi Arush talks about, is a direct reflection of your happiness in marriage. A person with a lot of emunah is a person who has a happy marriage. This is why I say, you go into someone's home, you can right away see how close to God they are. You can see it. You can see it. So, this is a really big key to success in life for a man. As a man, you now know that you can't fix your wife's shortcomings by criticism, but rather, what is the purpose of a wife? Is to show you what you need to work on. And guess what? It's not even your wife who's doing that. It's God who's using your wife as a messenger to show you what you need to fix about yourself. God created this world in a way that He wanted man to achieve everything in life. He wants to give you everything. He wants to give you all the gifts. He wants to give you that happiness. But He wants you to develop those tools. He doesn't want to just give it to you. God is like a father and you're a child. A father doesn't just give his child everything, because then he will take it for granted, and none of the things that you give to your child without working for it are going to really hold. Soon enough, they'll go back to their bad ways. He wants to make you work for it, to want it. So, what do you have to do? All you need to do, this is why you need to get married, in order to really achieve like your full potential. Because you can't do that by yourself. You can't be a mirror for yourself. You know, we tend to always dismiss our shortcomings. Say, I'm a great person. Okay, so I got angry for a second, but I'm overall a really peaceful person. And this person really, really deserved it. You know? I'm not angry. They're angry. So, of course, with all these inner logical games that you play where you think you are some perfect person, you're going to really be getting nowhere. This is why God wants you to create a union with a woman that is going to help you achieve your tikkun, going to help you achieve your self-rectification in every facet. There's not just one thing we need to fix about ourselves. There's many things. So I don't know what the single or marital status of anyone here is, but I can tell you, if you're not married, you should be spending a good 10 minutes every single day praying to God, God, I want to move forward in life. I want to be a better person. I want to reach my full potential as a human being. Please help me find that person. I want this person. And I can tell you that very much in our society, we're told we have to first establish a career and we have to make it in life before we go into that chapter of our life. Now, I also was a victim of the same thinking, so I'm not going to judge anyone, but now that I've learned, I can tell you that if you make that part of your present now, instead of saying, there's a time and a place for marriage, you're going to go much further in life than you would if you first say, I need to first set myself up and then get married. Because I just told you, you can't achieve happiness or something close to happiness without having that mirror. It's not going to work. Because only a wife, and only in the status of being in a marriage that is sanctified by God, not a relationship, but actually getting into a marriage, does all this come into play. Now you basically are bringing God into the partnership, and now you're all in together to try to really move forward together and improve yourselves as human beings. So it's so important that you should pray for that. And for someone who's married, I spend a good 10-15 minutes a day praying about different things in my marriage, how to improve it, how to grow my emotions and love for my wife, how to how to not fall prey to any things that, like criticize my wife, how to always, always see the good in my wife. I mean, these are things that on a daily basis you have to remind yourself. So a married man has to pray every day to actualize the things in that book, The Garden of Peace, to live it every day. And the same thing, someone who's not married, the earlier you start thinking about how to do that, the better you'll be off, because it's all in the preparation. Most of us go into marriage totally unprepared. We just wing it. That's why divorce rates are so high. That's why most of the examples of marriage around us are unhappy. But this is why this book, The Garden of Peace, is so unbelievable, because it really teaches you how to be happy. And you realize that that happiness is really quite easy to achieve. So, with that said, we just realized that in order to really succeed in life, to be a successful man, when we have that soulmate of ours, we have to really pay attention to all those things that they tell us. And that if whatever shortcoming we see, this is God telling us in a gentle way, hey, look, this is something you need to fix about yourself. And the same way, imagine you look in the mirror and you see that you have a stain on your shirt. Are you going to clean the mirror, or are you going to clean your stain? It's the same thing. When you look at your wife and you see the shortcoming, you're not going to try to clean her by criticizing her on how she needs to fix herself. Instead, you're going to go and you're going to try to work on that problem by yourself. Now, how do you do that? This is a very big topic. The idea of self-analysis, how to improve yourself, how to see really, how to make sense of behaviors of your wife and what they mean about what I need to change about myself. This is why there's an amazing practice called Itbodedut, which is basically a practice where you go to a quiet place by yourself and you just collect yourself and you just think about everything that's happened in your day, the good things that happen, the things that are not so good. You thank God for the good things that happen. You say sorry about the not good things. You basically do a self-accounting on a daily basis of your actions. And in doing so, you're able by talking to, you're basically talking to God. You can say it in words, you can say it in your mind. But in doing so, you could say to God, for example, let's say you have anger issues. God, I have anger issues. I don't want to be angry. Help me kill this evil streak in me that leads me to be angry. What is the root of this anger? Why am I angry? And then you start thinking about it more. And you pray to God. And before you know it, God gives you that assistance. Now, this is something we'll get into further down in the classes, this idea of personal prayer. But as I said, nothing here that we talk about can be achieved without prayer. You can hear this class 1,000 times, but if you don't actually move yourself to action by means of prayer, nothing's going to happen. You can have the greatest sage in the world sit in front of you, reminding you to do this, reminding you these theories every day, but it's going to say just that, a bunch of theory. This is why prayer is the greatest weapon of every human being. Rabbi Nachman of Breslev said that it's the greatest weapon of a human being, the ability to pray to God. Because when you pray, you can literally change your reality. Now, like I said, you can't take $5 and turn it $1 million. But like for instance, you want to change something that has been a problem in your life for years, you're going to have to do like 20 prayers, 30 prayers, 50 prayers, 100 prayers, whatever. But in the end, you're going to be able to acquire this goal. You're going to make it. So this is what a successful man, in the context of what we're talking about, this is how a man should really handle situations like that. And that's not only just in the marriage, it's in everything. Let's say you want to improve your relationship with your children, or let's say you want to achieve certain things. Maybe you have some bad habits, maybe you're an alcoholic, maybe you're, I don't know whatever it is. Maybe you have some obsessions or weak, like things that you don't want to talk about. And you can't overcome it by yourself. Like I said, you can't do anything without God's help. God can literally change your existence like that. So if you pray for that, and if you pray for it earnestly, I can tell you're going to get it. Now, I myself have only been doing this for 2 years. But I can tell you, I prayed for things and they happen. It's really miracles. And I know thousands of people that I know personally would do the same thing. And it may sound strange to go in a corner and talk to God. But if you really believe in God, then why can't you talk to Him? You don't need a book. You don't need a prayer book. You don't need to prepare yourself. You just need to talk to Him in your own words. He's your Father. It's your Father. He wants to hear from you. Imagine a child going to their dad. Hey, Dad, I want to be a better son to you. I want to be better. I want to improve my ways. Aren't you going to try to help him if you're their father? Of course you are. Of course. If you see they're earnest. So that's what you need to do. This is how a man in this world can acquire everything. All the things we described in this class can be acquired through prayer, through honesty, by looking inside yourself. You can achieve it. And it's a real shame for those people that don't know about this. Because this is the real reason why there is unhappiness. It's the lack of knowledge, the lack of dad that leads to that. Now, before I knew about all this, my life was totally different. But now that we know about this, now look at a guy who's in a married situation and his wife does something, is angry with him. What does he do? He looks at her, he sees a defect in her, and he's unhappy with her, so he starts criticizing her. He starts thinking that, for her own good, I have to tell her how to change. And he's saying in himself, inside of him, God, I'm such a good person. Why do I have such a bad wife? Why is it that she's so angry all the time? Here I am, so self-composed. I'm trying to help her. I tell her what she needs to change about herself, but she won't change it. So this guy looks at his wife every day, looks at the bad things in her, the bad points in her, and every single day her self-worth goes down lower and lower, and she becomes more and more bitter and more angry, and before you know it, the whole house has cracks in the walls, and then boom, one day the whole thing collapses, and the wife or the husband, one of them, they leave, divorce, God forbid. This is what happens. And of course, those people, the man did not learn anything. He missed his chance to have that mirror show him what he had to change in himself, because those problems that he has in himself are going to haunt him in another relationship. Even worse. God did something amazing. Instead of having to put us through terrible tests, He gives us a mirror. All we have to do is look at it every day and make those changes. Now, if we don't do that, obviously, we're going to have more and tougher tests. We don't want that. Because a man who judges himself on a daily basis, the heavenly courts don't judge him above. Because he's already judged himself. So they say this guy does his atonement every day. We have nothing against him. They just shower him in blessings. So that's it. So this is one of the most fundamental things, and the reason why I chose this to be discussed today. And for those of you that are not married, if you actually think about this, you'll see that when it comes down to it, when you get married, it's going to be a tremendous, tremendous revelation that can really lead to your happiness much, much sooner than someone who doesn't know about it. Now I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how this mirror thing works, and then we'll take some questions. So, for instance, we said that an angry wife, what does she show? She's showing to you that you have an anger problem. Imagine a wife who let's say a man says, oh, my wife dresses in a modest way, or she's too social and talkative with other guys. What is God trying to send through the wife? He's trying to show that the man has a problem in looking at other women. And this is why his wife is like that. Let's say a man who has too much ego and too arrogant, his wife is constantly degrading him. She's constantly coming at him. Because that's God. He's trying to tell you, you've got to suppress your ego. Imagine a lot of times there's guys that say, I come home and my wife can't stand me, doesn't want me to touch her. The sight of me grosses her out. A lot of times it's because this guy spent the entire day looking at every woman on the street. So this woman he's married to is not married just to him. She's also married to all the women on that street. So, this is the thing. The mirror is not something that is always so evident. And this is why you need to pray to God to say, show me, what is it? Why is it that my wife behaved this way today? Because in the same way, it works in the reverse. When you respect your wife and you're every day working on yourself, you're going to see a wife that is constantly showing you love, respect, adoring you, giving you all kinds of great advice on how to improve things, and that's it. You're going to see the opposite. So now I wanted to open it up to some Q&A about this topic, and there's going to be, in 2 weeks we'll continue a bit more about the marriage, about this idea, the different ideas. There's many other ideas that we need to go through, and then we'll finish that book, The Garden of Peace, and then we'll go progress into other aspects of what a successful man, other tools that you need to achieve success in life. So please, if you have questions, or if you have maybe even a situation you want to discuss, do it. I can turn the tape off if you want. Huh? That's it? No. Well, no one knows who you are. It's always good because I can repeat the question.
I would say one thing.
Okay.
Like I think it's important. I recently started with an Bodedut, actually because of you, Ariel. Thanks to you. And it's changing everything. You did just touch it for a second this class, because we talked a lot about the marriage, but I think what it do is really letting you to understand how things working and about the connection with God, because what you're saying, it's tools. Actually, it's tools to connect you to God, because it's like path that you need to go to. So for me, it's open doors that I didn't even imagine that there exists.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I want to share.
So people are watching. Someone was talking about the practice of Itbodedut, which is a personal prayer of going out to a quiet place to basically do that daily self-accounting, the self-analysis of what's happening in your life. It's definitely...
I think I felt really the difference between to believe in God and to know God.
Yes.
But that But this life was actually to me
Definitely.
and that's amazing.
Hitbodedut, someone just said here that through the practice of Hitbodedut, you really come to know God in a way that nothing else can bring you to that belief. Because when you're standing there and you're talking to God in your own words, and you're going through talking about personal issues that you probably never revealed to anyone, but when you pour your heart out and you discuss these things, and suddenly God puts in your brain the answers to your questions, suddenly you feel like, whoa, someone just put laser eye vision, and now I can look at myself from the outside and I see exactly what I need to fix about myself. And that's something you didn't know about before coming there. And you literally see miracles. And for sure, we're going to be talking a lot about Hitbodedut. Hitbodedut, like I said, if you just listen to the classes, read the books, but don't go actually to work, and work for man is prayer. And I'm not talking prayer inside of a house of worship. I'm talking about prayer outside, on your own, one-on-one, in your words. This is where you see the miracles, you see that you can pray for things and they actually happen. And for sure, every day, that's the ideal. I do it every day for at least an hour. And it's something that at first seems very foreign to you, like, what is this? But once you do it, you feel like, what was my life before doing this personal prayer practice versus to my life now? You really realize that there is a God, and you see them, and you feel Him all around you. Before you know it, you're not only talking to God in that 1 hour, you can also talk to Him throughout the day. And you feel like, for lack of a better word, the force is with you. So, so there's an amazing book right here. It's called In Forest Fields. It's a book all about personal prayer. It gives you all kinds of tools on how to do this practice. But I can tell you this. When I first started doing personal prayer, I just literally went out there and just started talking. That's all I did. I didn't follow any kind of textbook approach. Just went out there and talked. Talk to my Father. Talk to you, my Father in heaven, my Creator, in my own words. And that's all you got to do. That will give you... I can't even imagine. Can you explain? What it does?
I can give one more
Advice?
Advice, yeah, because maybe two advice. First, it's very important because it's like the most important meeting that you have, but it's the one that it's the easiest to give up on, like not to go, because there's no one will tell you if you haven't come like any other meetings that you have during the day. So it's the most important meeting that you have, but it's the easiest to miss.
Definitely.
Because your day is so full. And the second thing, until you completely started to get a lot of it, it's taking a little bit. It's not on the first one you will get. It's always about until like it's fully. You need to go to few meetings to get before. Not before, but the fourth is. It's like E and X. It's exponentially rising, but it's very important to keep those.
So
You do it every day at the same time?
you don't have to do it at the same time. You can do it. It's always good to create a routine, so that because by creating a routine, you know you're going to do it. And what he just discussed is exactly that. Because prayer, personal prayer in your own words, is probably the greatest tool to improve your life. Your evil inclination is going to do everything to throw every little excuse into your brain to not do it. Because your evil inclination wants you to stay where you are, doesn't want you to go to a higher level. It's constantly fighting you to keep you down. So it's going to say, oh, you know what? Why don't you go do this really nice little thing that you wanted to do for your mom right now or your friend? Or why don't you go and learn about God right now instead of praying, you know? Or why don't you maybe take a little nap so you'll feel stronger and more alert later on so you can do your personal prayer? I mean, I talked to someone who's been doing personal prayer for 30 years, and he's a major, major, major rabbi. And he said he's kept a diary of every single day, and every single day there's a voice that comes into him telling him, hey, why don't we do this instead? Why don't we do that instead? Because this is what your evil inclination, that voice inside of you is always trying to throw doubt into anything that has to do with improving your life. The evil inclination wants you to be down, flat, horizontal, and in a hopeless state, that nothing can change. Life is really exactly what you see in front of you, and that's the opposite. And this is why every day when you do your personal prayer, you should ask God, help me to come back tomorrow again. Every single day, may I merit to speak to you again and again. So it's an amazing, amazing thing, and we're going to talk about it because in the end, we don't want this to be theory. We want to work here. This is a seminar about work. It's not about talking about pie in the sky ideas. It's about doing it. We can do it. In fact, if you guys want, we can all go one time instead of doing the class. You can go into like a little forest that I know, and we can all take a corner, and we can all do it. You can see what you got to do. I mean, that's how you do it. I mean, if that gets you guys into it, be happy to do it. But you don't need to go anywhere. You can go into your room. You can go wherever you want to do this.
I do think that it's very important to go out because the nature.
Yeah, but not everybody. Like, for instance, I was during my vacation, I was in a place where it was just a city. There was no forest.
Yeah.
So you got to find places to do it.
Okay.
You can't. I had to do it on a plane flying back. I went to the corner, I took a book, pretended I was reading, and I did my prayer, you know. And the stewardess are going back and forth, and they're like, hi, and I'm like, okay, you know. You just got to do your own thing. You have to find you can do it also driving. You can do it wherever you find time to do it. The point is to do it on a daily basis. And you touched upon something else which is really important, which is not to set expectations, you know. When you say, hey, you know, I want, you know, like I'm looking, you know, if you don't see results, I'm stopping. It's not like that. It's something that is a gradual thing, but you definitely feel it after you do it a few times. You feel like life is totally different from before. And anyone can do it. You don't need to be on any religious level to do it. You don't need to be some huge righteous person. And if anything, personal prayer can bring you much closer to God than someone who can learn about God all day long but doesn't really believe in God. So I really urge everybody to do this. It's an unbelievable thing, and we'll spend more than just one class about how to do it. You had a question?
Yeah, really quick. So, a few questions, but packed into one. We're talking about the mirror theory.
The mirror theory, yeah.
So that's under like this presupposition that hypothetically, say you're changing, the other person has to want to change themselves too, because you can only do so much. You know, each person's 100%.
Okay.
Right? So hypothetically, you could do everything yourself and still get resistance just because of extenuating circumstances or external factors that don't have to do it. No?
Okay, so the question here is a really, really good question. And I actually was going to go talk about it, but somehow I didn't touch upon it. The question is this. If I'm the man and my role is to fix myself by looking at my wife as the mirror, well, how's she going to fix herself? What is going to happen to her to fix herself? And basically, this is how God designed the world, how He designed man and woman, But by virtue of the man changing himself, his wife will change herself almost immediately without him having to say a single word. Now, I can tell you this from my own experience, that just by changing myself, something that might have bothered me about my own wife, boom, suddenly disappeared. So because that's how it is, and you have to believe it. And that's why I said you have to suspend your intellect here, you have to put it aside and try it. It's amazing, it really works, and that's just how it is. It's just simply how it is. That basically you're a mirror to your own wife as much as she is to you. When you're on the up and up, your wife is on the up and up. There's actually a very, very interesting opinion that women are already perfect, fixed souls, and they're only here in this world because they're forced to be here. They're sent here by God to fix their soulmate, the husband. And they're basically fully customized with the exact faults that you have, because that's what will bring you to fix yourself. So the soulmate that you get is exactly pre-designed for you and fully customizable, and can become the greatest dream of your life or the greatest terror of your life if you decide to not play the right game. So,
well, what's another thing? Isn't it saying for something like a husband who does everything right, but the woman's hell to him, and he goes and he'll be fine in the next life, right?
if a husband what?
I'm probably saying it wrong, but a husband who does everything correct, but the wife's still always hemming and hawing and unhappy, and his soul is good in the next life because he's gone through it. No.
I heard some opinion that if you have a difficult wife, then like you've paid your dues in this world, so the next. I mean, I that is an opinion I heard. It's not what I'm talking about here, because I don't think. Because if you're doing everything right, but let's say your wife is still showing opposition, that means that there's something else that you need to look into. So you ask God, I'm doing all this. Please clarify to me. What is it why is she still doing that? What is it that you want me to learn? I mean, this whole thing is about bringing you to a daily self-analysis and atonement, so that if you do it every day, if every day you're looking at what is it I did right, what is it I did wrong, you basically are clean at the end of every day. And every day you've judged yourself fully. And I'm sure that if you keep asking and looking into it, you'll find the answer. In fact, when I was preparing for this class, I was trying to figure out something that was in my own life, and I figured it out because I was thinking about it. It came to me right there because I was learning the topic again. I was like, oh wow. And it's like, now I understand it. It's because God puts these ideas, puts the answers in your head. If you're talking to God, it's going to come to you. It's going to come to you. And so that's the answer to that.
Okay, well, let me phrase it this way.
So are you convinced now that if you do your part, your wife will...
Just throwing a lot of hypotheticals out.
I know, your wife will adjust herself accordingly. I can tell you it sounds crazy, but that's again your evil inclination is trying to tell you, hey, don't believe this. This is a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Don't believe that. I can tell you it works.
Okay, it works, but there are people out there there are women who are on 3 marriages, 4 marriages, men who are on 3 or 4. So hypothetically, say there's one guy who's on his 5th marriage. Obviously, it's him always, right? What happens if there's a woman who's on her 4th marriage, and then some guy He's with her and he's self-correcting all the time, self-correcting. How much, it can't all be 100% him, you know? Some people are just...
Okay. Someone, so we're talking about someone who's been married 4 times.
Just a hypothetical, you know.
Well, someone, first of all, if you do the right thing, you don't need to get married a few times to learn about what you need to fix.
Right.
The idea is that you
a
stay in the
world
same relationship.
Who won't fix certain characteristics in themselves, and they end up repeating the same cycles, right? So if you're with someone who is of that nature and not criticize, you pray on it and it doesn't change, you know, there's only so much you can do, correct?
No, because that doesn't work like that. If you are truly committed to finding the truth about what is it that needs to be changed about yourself, you're going to find it. And that person will also, as a reflecting soul to you, change in unison with you. It's not... God doesn't put us in this world to be stuck in the same broken record over and over if we're making efforts to make changes in our life. God doesn't take joy in those kinds of things. That's futile. But so that person who's not successful in creating this harmony in their marriage is because they have yet to really see, they have not spent enough time to figure out what it is. And they're not...
Let me say it another way. If more people practice what you said, I believe, the divorce rate could go down. But if you're saying that's an absolute, then everyone would be 100%.
So why not? Why do you think we're here? We're here to spread this knowledge so that everyone could benefit from it. Because there's like tens of thousands of cases of people who have done it, and they were completely different from one another, and their lives completely changed and improved, and they're coming from all backgrounds, ethnicities, Jewish, not Jewish, doesn't matter, because if you apply these ideas, there's no way you're not going to see results. You may not see them at the pace you want, but it will happen. Now, why are we here? Why is it so important also to spread these ideas beyond yourself? Like, hopefully you can tell your friends about it. Maybe they'll come along. It's because this is how you really this is really how you end up changing our world, you know? I mean, and you have to be this optimistic that it will happen. I can tell you, in this very community, the other day, 2 days ago, we got an email from a woman that attended a conference that we put together here in Tarzana on marriage, and she said that she is remarrying her ex-husband because of the inspiration she got from these teachings, and how her and her ex-husband completely grew from the experience and decided to get back together. This is just a story that's fresh right from here. So, the more you spread it, the more this kind of thinking grows. And that's why I'm sure that if you tell other people, it will spread. And these types of stories of people on the 5th, 6th marriage, hopefully there'll be less of them. Bring those people here. Nobody needs to go through 6 marriages to correct their flaws in life. You should achieve that with one soulmate. You should. You can. You should pray for that. If you do that, God willing, that's going to happen. So.